Brad Brown here with a little bit of Christmas magic to share with you. Of course, everyone knows the Christmas story, or at least they think they do. Mary and Joseph traveled to Bethlehem. Jesus was born and placed in the manger. Shepherds heard the news from angels. Wise men came bearing gifts. But of course, there's much more to it than what we read about in storybooks. So, you know the part about Jesus in the manger. As was the custom, he would have been swaddled. So he would have been wrapped in a square of cloth, perhaps something like this, which would have had 2 or more strips of cloth tied around it to hold everything together. And we won't even talk about what they did for diapers, mostly because I have no idea what they did for diapers. But the manger wasn't the beginning for Jesus. You see, this baby lying in the manger was actually God himself. He chose to humble himself and leave heaven and come to earth in the form of a human child. So, if this book were to tell the whole story, it would have to begin much, much earlier. Before the shepherds and wise men, before the manger, before the journey to Bethlehem. In fact, it would have to start at the very beginning of time, and even earlier if that's possible. Because this baby lying in the manger is the same God who created the entire world in 6 days. It's where the Gospel of John begins, as a matter of fact. Of course, the story doesn't end in the manger either. Mary, Joseph, and Jesus would have stayed in Bethlehem for some time, for months or perhaps even years. And while they were there, Joseph must have continued to work his trade as a carpenter to support his family, because you can do that anywhere. And although no one would have realized it at the time, Joseph's work with wood actually foreshadowed Jesus' future. You see, the Jews at the time were expecting a Messiah. They were waiting for God to send someone to save them. But they were looking for a political Messiah, someone who would set them free from Rome and restore the nation of Israel to power. But God had a very different plan. Jesus came to build a very different kingdom. So if this book were to tell the whole story, it couldn't end at the manger or even with Jesus dying on the cross or raising from the dead. In fact, the ending can't be written at all because it's not over yet. You see, Jesus died on the cross, rose from the dead to make it possible for us to have a relationship with him. If we put our faith in him, he's willing to wipe the slate clean, making it possible for us to start a relationship with God. So this Christmas, I hope you remember not just the little part of the Christmas story that we like to tell around the Christmas tree, but all that Jesus has done for us and is continuing to do for us. Well, I'm Brad Brown, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a very blessed New Year. Thank you.